Do you ever feel like your anxiety is running the whole show? What if I told you that some things that you're doing are actually making it worse? In today's video, I'm breaking down 10 things that you need to stop doing in order to feel more control over your anxiety and feel more at peace. And trust me, number 7 is something that most people do that they may not even realize they're doing that's making their anxiety worse. So if you're interested, stick around. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Vanessa Milagros, and I'm a licensed mental health professional. On this channel, I make videos about different mental health topics. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment your favorite part of this video down below. Stop avoiding your anxiety. Anxiety grows when you avoiding certain situations, conversations, emotions. This reinforces that fear and makes the anxiety stronger. For example, if you avoid social interactions because your fear is that they make you nervous, you don't know what to say, you overthink afterwards, your brain learns that social situations are dangerous. And that may not always be the reality. So the solution here would be to start practicing social situations or whatever the fear or anxiety based is for you in small controlled ways. So for instance, if social situations are what drives that anxiety and stress for you, small steps towards social situations that are safe, that are sources of enjoyment for you with people that you love and that love you. Interacting in those situations slowly and over time helps your brain reduce that fear of social situations are dangerous and helps it replace it to maybe not all social situations are dangerous. That is where you start and you grow from there. Now, input your specific fear or anxiety provoking situations and start there. Number 2, and this is something that a lot of us do without even realizing that we do this. Stop overloading your schedule with things to do. The constant busyness, moving around, doing things, having something on your schedule, this busyness fuels your stress levels. And it also leaves no downtime for your nervous system to reset, for your nervous system to have a break, because you're constantly always doing something or figuring something out, never really resting. It's important to teach ourselves and our bodies that rest is important. Rest does not mean laziness. Rest is helpful and helps us continue to push forward and move forward in our lives. And that busyness and always staying busy is not necessarily a productive or good thing, especially when it's excessive. And number 3, stop over caffeinating your system. Now, as a coffee lover, this one hurts. However, it is helpful to understand that caffeine in moderate, low levels is healthy. It's fine. However, when you tend to overcaffeinate, this increases your heart rate and overstimulates your nervous system. And this sort of mimics anxiety symptoms. If you've noticed, okay, wait, my heart is beating a little bit faster, or my palms are a little bit sweaty, or my mind is racing, and you take note and you see that maybe you've had a little bit more caffeine than your body is used to, that's a clear sign that, oh, this is probably symptoms from too much caffeine from me. See, too much caffeine for you versus too much caffeine for me may be two totally separate things. So you have to analyze for yourself what that means. Also, the time of day that you're intaking the caffeine is what we have to look at. Sometimes past the afternoon, closer to the evening times, it's not helpful for most people, and they recognize that, okay, I have to stop the caffeine at a certain time. And that is what helps them. So figure out what works for you. Number 4, stop seeking constant reassurance from others. And this is because constantly seeking reassurance from others can become sort of like a crutch for a lot of us that we depend on and rely on to make decisions. This can also reinforce anxious thoughts rather than building up your confidence. So for instance, here's how I would like for you to work on this. If you find that when you feel stress or anxiety, you go to that person, and it's always the same person. Or maybe you're finding that you have someone on speed dial whenever you feel a certain way and they've become your dependable person. They're a good support system. This is great. However, if you're finding yourself wanting to work on reducing the anxiety, eventually I want you to work on reducing the amount of times you reach out for support and instead practice some of the skills that you learn in therapy sessions. So if you're not going to therapy, that's a great option. Learn how to develop some of the skills within the moments that you're feeling stress and anxiety come up for you and practice it then. I recommend practicing those skill sets beforehand. That way, when you are feeling anxious, it's more of a muscle memory of, okay, let me practice my breathing techniques. Okay, let me practice reducing my anxious thoughts. Let me talk back to my anxious thoughts. I just gave you 3 different techniques that you can use. When you practice those, instead of reaching out for support all of the time, you learn to build that confidence within yourself of, I have the resources, I know what to do, I know how to implement them, and I can do that. Now, after you implement them, if you also want to reach out for support, great, because you're still building that confidence in yourself first. But learn how to find a balance with those things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that having healthy support is not necessary and that is not needed. I'm not saying that. Those are very important things. However, I also want you to build up that self esteem and that confidence within yourself and know I can also depend on and rely on me. And even if I make decisions and choices that I'm like, oh, shouldn't have done that, that's okay. I can get up, dust myself off, and continue on. And I know that I will be okay. And when I need outside support, I know they'll also be there for me too. Number 5, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you the tips. Stop doom scrolling and consuming negative information on a constant basis. I know, I know, I know. It's so easy to just be on your phone and scroll and scroll and scroll. And then you look up and you're like, how much time have I spent on this phone? It's important to recognize that you're doing that if that's the pattern that you're having, because on some level, it is sort of a comfort for you to just scroll. It gets your mind off of things that you're worried about. It helps you laugh if you're watching funny things. It helps relax and calm you. And you can just go into almost like a different dimension where you don't have to worry about the realities of your life for a few moments. And it is helpful. However, when you're constantly doing that as a source of a coping mechanism, it's not necessarily a healthy one. In addition to this, constantly exposing yourself to negative news that brings your emotional state down and helps you feel powerless over the things that are going on in this world, that does not help at all. Now, I'm not saying to not listen to things that are happening in the world. I think that's very important. However, if it's constantly coming up on your phone, on your emails, every time you open up your app on a phone, this is not helpful because you are consuming this. And what I teach my clients a lot is we have to protect our energies. And a lot of that starts with what your eyes are seeing, what your ears are listening to on a daily basis. If you just take inventory, and I want you to practice this with me, over the things that you just see, don't even include your other senses. How many times, how many pieces of negative, sad, almost depressing, anxiety provoking information do you see in one day? Whether you intended to see it or not. How many? Let's be honest about that. And if you have a number you feel comfortable sharing, comment that number down below. Now, when you take inventory of how much you're ingesting of negative news, how do you actually feel? How does that make you feel? You've gone through the entire day just witnessing additional negative things that are going on. How do you feel? You tend to feel more down, more depressed. Things tend to feel more gloomy, more helpless. Whether you recognize that this is happening or not, it's happening. So you have to be very protective of your energy, even downright to the people that you surround yourself with. Number 6, stop ignoring your body's signal. Anxiety is not just in our minds, it's in our bodies too. So ignoring symptoms like muscle tension, sweaty palms, heart beating faster, shallow breathing, fatigue, always feeling tired, lack of motivation, all of these things are signs that your body is throwing at you and saying, hey, pay attention, pay attention. And when we excuse it or ignore it or just say, oh, it's because of this, or oh, I just that, and we don't actually take the time to say, you know what, I'm important enough to figure out what is going on with me, what is my body telling me, and what are the steps that I need to take in order to help this. When you can get to that point, real change can happen in your life. But a lot of times we get overconsumed with what everybody else needs and how we need to be there for everybody else. And that's important, but it shouldn't override your health, whether it's mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, you name it. You're important too. You're worthy of taking time and putting back into yourself as well. And if nobody's told you that, I'm telling you that. Number 7, stop overthinking and catastrophizing. Now, I have a full video on this. I'll leave it right over here or up here. I never know where it is, but you'll see it up on the screen, and watch that video after this video because it's going to teach you important skills for you to implement before you start to feel yourself catastrophizing and overthinking, and then your body starts to tense up and you get all the symptoms afterwards. We're going to work on what you can do to stop that early on. However, our minds love jumping to conclusions that include a lot of assumptions that are not facts. And if that is you, just raise your hand. There's no judgment here, and say, that is I, that is me. That's okay. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. However, once you recognize that our minds do play tricks on us, then you can understand that not everything that pops up in your head is rooted in fact. And the truth is, if we take a deep dive, not even a deep dive, if we just ask ourselves, what is one thing that we were worried about this week alone? Ask yourself that. What was one thing that I was worried about this week alone? What was the fear? And did it come true? Or was it your mind playing tricks on you? Was it an assumption that you made? Was it something that occurred, but then you took it and ran with it and you gave it a whole new meaning? We understand that our mind plays tricks on us and can get us to think or come up with conclusions to problems that may not ever come true. So, a great tip that I'm going to leave you with is asking yourself, okay, what evidence do I have? Evidence, facts that points to this being real. And is it outweighed by the assumptions that I'm making or the extra narratives that I'm adding onto it or the emotions that I'm feeling coming up because of this? That can help you to really challenge those anxious and negative thoughts that are coming up for you. Number 8 is to stop beating yourself up for feeling anxious. Anxiety and stress is something that we all feel in different and varying levels in different stages and situations of our lives. It's normal, it's actually healthy so that we don't make reckless decisions, so that we think through situations. However, those that struggle with anxiety more, it is more on a heightened level. It is a concern and a worry and a fear over things that also may not be in our control and also may not even occur. So when you have actual anxiety that's diagnosed by a mental health professional, it is different than regular, normal, everyday stress. So we have to differentiate the two. However, it is important to add in there that when you feel anxious, it is not anything to feel ashamed about. It does not make you less than, it does not make you weak. So instead of telling yourself, why am I like this? I shouldn't feel this way. Why do I have to struggle with things that other people don't have to struggle with? Those are all valid questions. But at the end of the day, if this is what you're experiencing, there are things that you can do to help. Maybe there may not be a day where you don't feel anxious, and that's your reality. But there are things that you can do to help reduce that anxiety, to help feel more in control over you, your reactions, and what you feel in your body over time and what you experience. So make sure that you're working with a therapist if you don't already have one. Make sure that you have good support systems around. Make sure that you're practicing the techniques that you learned through therapy or through reading books based on your specific type of anxiety, whether that's social anxiety or generalized anxiety, whatever it is for you that you're experiencing. This is to help you empower yourself to know, yes, this is something that I'm dealing with, but it is not something that's overtaking my life and controlling every aspect of my life. There are certain places that I can take back a lot of that control that I maybe once felt like I couldn't. Number 9, stop skipping sleep. The importance of sleep, I'll tell you, almost any medical professional will tell you, mental health professional will tell you the importance of sleep. And before you roll your eyes, it is important to understand that getting enough sleep is going to help reduce cortisol levels that increase when you don't get enough sleep for your body. It also helps to reduce emotional regulation when you're not getting enough sleep. So, emotional regulation is the ability to regulate, control your emotions. So, if you find yourself feeling more anxious or sad or angry, and you find yourself having a hard time knowing how to reduce those strong feelings, this is a lack of emotional regulation. And so when you are able to get enough sleep for your mind and your body, you're more readily available to put into practice the skills that you need during the day to reduce heightened emotions so that you don't act on those in negative ways. Because listen, when you're sleep deprived, even small things that come up can feel so overwhelming. And then you think to yourself, why did I react like that? Why did I go so off the handle just now? Part of it may be there's a lack of sleep and there's a lack of the ability to regulate your emotions in that area. And if you're like, listen, I have trouble sleeping because of my anxiety, then there are things that you should be putting into place that can help. For instance, remember how we said earlier about the caffeine and reducing that to earlier in the morning if you have trouble sleeping? A lot of times that helps a lot of individuals who struggle with this. Maybe it's more severe and you need to go see a psychiatrist or another medical health professional to help diagnose and also give you the plan that's going to help work for you. Because based on research, medication and psychotherapy, which is talk therapy essentially, those are the two things that have been the most proven to help reduce anxiety and even depression. So when you're able to get the support that you need, then you can add in the techniques that you learn to help reduce your anxiety or your stress and allow you to at least get some sleep at night. That's going to help. And this actually leads me to my last and final point, number 10, which is stop trying to do it alone. You are not alone in this journey unless you choose to be. And that's a very sad and isolated place to be. Instead, tag team your social supports in, those people who are not going to judge you, who genuinely love and care for you and want to help and assist, and that can be there for you and that you trust them. In addition to that, finding a therapist is going to be really helpful. Working with a psychiatrist, if you speak with your therapist and they diagnose you and say, hey, my recommendation is that you also, in combination with therapy, seek medical management. Fine, go ahead and do that. And also educate yourself. Find books, listen to podcasts that are going to help you within the areas that you're struggling with so that you feel more empowered to actually implement those techniques on a consistent basis and then help reduce your anxiety. You don't have to do this journey alone. There are people and support systems and resources ready and willing to help you. You just have to reach out, which is sometimes the hardest part. So I understand that too. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know which tip was your favorite or which tip has been the most effective for you in the comments down below. And if you're interested in more videos like this, make sure you click one of the videos that you see here on the screen to watch it next. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.